People with street smarts, what is your most street tip?
If you're ever in a position where you have to stab someone, twist the knife. The chances of them bleeding out and not being able to follow you are a lot higher. 45-second rule. In any sketchy area, you have 45 seconds to get in your car, lock your car, get your GPS, and drive the fuck off if you don't know the area that you're in. 45 seconds. That is it. Count it if you need to. And yes, you do still need to lock your car even when you've gotten into it. I don't know where we got this mind your own business when it comes to the well-being of others part, but it is your responsibility if you see someone's drink gets drugged to say something, or at the very least to knock over their drink. So if you are at a party, don't mind your business. Mind everybody's motherfucking business. Help somebody. In a fight with someone bigger than you, get closer to them. It's a lot harder to fight someone if they're this close to you than it is that if you have reach. Also, in a fight, most people are taught to guard their faces. 9 times out of 10, they are not taught to also guard their throats. Do with that information what you will.
Faint. Faint. Always faint. I learned this working at a bank for over 5.5 years. If there is ever a situation where they're trying to take hostages and they're trying to take people out of this, like kidnap someone, faint. You're dead weight and they don't want you at that point. Also, if you're ever outside and someone tries to take you, act crazy. One of my friends my old supervisor told me to eat grass and start making yourself throw up. You act crazy, they don't want you. Faint. Literally become dead weight. Obviously, this is only for situations where you don't have a way to escape. If you have a way to escape, you need to get out as quickly as possible. Also, the police officers used to tell us like what to do in an active boom boom situation. You got to find the closest exit. Always know where your exits are. Never go into a locked room. And literally don't go back for anybody.
If a woman, especially an unusually attractive woman, comes up to you and says, "Hey, my car just broke down." And you say, "Well, where is it at?" And she says something like, "Oh, well, it's right around that corner there, or it's in that alley right there." Don't do it, fam. There's a good possibility you're about to be set up and have your pockets ran, or worse. Tell her you're not a mechanic and politely decline. But good luck with that. I'm B. Bolt, and you've been briefed. Follow me for more game.
What they do to other people is what they will eventually do to you. The only reason why it hasn't come back around to you, they still have a use for you, or you haven't made them mad yet. The moment you fall out of one of those categories, you will see their shady side come out. Let me give you an example of this. And don't judge me, I was a kid, okay? I used to have this friend that was a master at stealing bikes. And when I was a kid, I wanted a bike so bad, but I didn't have one. So as a gift, he goes out and he steals a bike and then he gives it to me. I didn't have morals yet, so obviously I accepted the bike. One day he wants another bike. So what does he do? He steals the bike that he gave me. And I was so mad that I was like, the next time I see him, I'm gonna get him. And the next time I saw him, I pulled him off the bike and I ended up fighting him. He was known for stealing bikes and he eventually stole my bike.
I abide by the 45-second rule. What that means is don't spend any more than 45 seconds between getting your keys in the door, getting in the driver's seat, and pulling off. Super important for women. Very important for women. I'm going to explain why. I'm a registered nurse, and I had a patient who was an SA victim. Trigger warning, stop here if you can't listen to that. And what happened to her was she was 18, 19 years old, lived in an apartment complex. And she pulled up to, I guess, where her mailboxes were in the apartment complex. And she sat there and read her mail. Totally unconscious habit. I do the same thing. In the process of doing this, some dude came up and took a crowbar, broke her window, pulled her out of the car, threw her in the trunk, and drove off. They drove her 5 miles away and essayed her for days at a time. He beat her so bad that she lost an eye. She had an orbital fracture that eventually took her vision in one eye. And this baby was 19 years old. And it stuck with me because she didn't even know that she had lost an eye. She just thought her eye was swollen shut. She didn't know the eye was gone. And she kept telling me, when I get out of here, I'm going to be able to see again. And I, as a nurse, you're looking at her like, how do I tell her that you're going to have one eye for the rest of your life, miss? And you're only 19. And a detective that was handling the case, he came up and he told me, you got to follow the 45-second rule. Once you get in that car, pull off. Don't spend no time sitting behind the wheel. And this is especially important for people like me who have ADHD. You get to in the car just scrolling, not paying no attention. You don't know who is looking at you. That's my tip. 45 seconds. Pull off.
Let's do a New York version. If you're in New York City and you're at a subway, stand in the middle of the platform or put your back to the wall or to a pillar that's there, because otherwise you're looking to get pushed in. Sleepy crackheads are safe crackheads. If they're knocked out, if they're drooling, they're not a problem. You can leave them alone. If they're sleeping on the floor, leave them alone. If they make eye contact with you, then they want some type of engagement. That is the one that you want to stay away from. Also, they kind of operate like zombies. If they move a little too fast, like if they're giving you World War Z, you need to go the other direction. If somebody asks you for the time, do not give it to them if it's late at night or if you have to pull out your phone to give them that information. They're really trying to see if you have a phone so they can go boo and take it from you. Don't do it. This one my pops told me when I was younger. As a black man, don't run. Don't run out in the street. Doesn't matter if you're a sprinter. Doesn't matter if you're, a long distance runner. Don't run. Walk. Because otherwise you'll be perceived as having done something illegal.
Take the train on hours. That means during a rush hour, it's a pain in the ass, but it's a lot safer than being in an emptier cart because something can go down and you may not get the help you need. Also, please do not sit right next to the exits. That is an easy pickpocket zone. You can get your phone snatched, your wallet snatched, and you can get attacked. I watched my ex-friend get attacked while we were sitting right near the exits. It seems safe, but it's not really safe. As for on the train itself, mind your business but stay alert and always have one hand in your pocket for a weapon because you may need to use it.
Drew here, favorite home awareness guy. What we can do is teach our kids how to dial 911, teach them our address, and teach them your first and last name because you never know, our kids can have to save our lives one day and that information can be very important. If they're old enough to know how to work a cell phone and play a video game, they're old enough to know those things. You know my slogan, please share this video, save a life for two.
My mom used to always say, you have to gut punch people. What that means is when someone crosses you, you have to deliver the most devastating blow so they know not to mess with you again. The reason why it's called a gut punch is because if you've ever been punched in the stomach, the pain usually spreads and then it knocks the wind out of you, so you can't breathe for a couple seconds. It's a devastating blow. Let me give you an example of this. And once again, don't judge me, I was a kid when this happened, and I didn't have the best friends back then. When I was a kid, I found an iPod on the ground, and my friends decide, let's sell it and split the profit between the three of us. So one friend takes the iPod from me and he brings it home. Then he comes up with some kind of excuse that's like, oh, I took it home and then my sister lost it or whatever he said. And I was like, not a big deal. It wasn't my iPod anyways. Come back to school a few days later and the iPod falls out of his locker. And I said something like, isn't that the iPod your sister lost? And he just brushes it off like, oh yeah, ha ha ha. And in my head, I was like, that was a mistake. Because he showed me that he was keeping the iPod at school, I called my mom and I had her report my iPod stolen. Security and the principal, they go and they check this kid's locker and they find the iPod. And then they call me into the office. The two boys are sitting in there and they're like, Blake, tell them we didn't take it. And I should have gotten an Oscar for this performance. I came in and I had this whole story like, my mom bought me this iPod and, it really meant so much to me. And then they just stole it. So they're like screaming. They're like, oh no, he's lying. And the principal is just looking at them like. And I think the consequence was that they ended up getting suspended. And when they saw me at school again, he comes up to me and he's like, why would you do that? He was like, we were going to split the profit 3 ways. And I was like, no, you weren't. You were going to split the profit between the 2 of you from an iPod that I found. And then you tried to lie to me so that I wouldn't know that that was what the plan was. And then you're trying to lie to me again. Now, I didn't have to do that, but it needed to be done. The message was that you can't cross me and expect me to just lie down and take it. If I didn't gut punch them, their behavior was only going to get worse. Remember, what you tolerate is what you will put up with. And people will take advantage of you if they think you won't retaliate. So you have to gut punch people so they know, don't do it again. And me and those guys, we're cool now. We've all gotten over it. That was like a long time ago. But the original point still stands.